And now we're going to see the central theme in Scriptures, and it's really two things. Number one, committing your life into his hands results in life. A commitment of your circumstances, like the picture, into his hands results in life. Non-commitment results in death. Non-commitment results in death. And here is God's answer. Verse 4. Verse 4, the righteous will live by faith. Look what he contrasts with faith. See, he is puffed up, his desires are not upright, but the righteous will live by his faith. He's contrasting a proud heart with a humble heart. Faith is an acronym I've used before. Forsaking all, I trust him. But I will not exercise my trust in him unless I humble my heart to him. If I harden my heart to him, that's non-commitment. That might masquerade itself as partial surrender. But the righteous will live by faith. The first time righteousness is used in Scripture, and Habakkuk would know this, is Genesis 15:6, when it says, Abraham believed. That's the same thing as faith. Abraham believed, and it was credited to him as righteousness. Faith. And it's this verse, the righteous will live by faith, that Paul uses as this theme verse, verses 1, 16, and 17 for Romans. That there's a gospel. And it's the power of God, and it's Jesus Christ who can save anyone, anybody. And the just and the righteous shall live by faith in him. Hebrews 11:1 says faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Well, he goes on in verse 5 there. And he says, 5 through 20, he talks about how the proud in heart are condemned unless they'd repent. And you might write this down. It's a taunt song. Habakkuk has this taunt song. And it's 5 woes to a proud heart who is his own God. Remember, they act like they're their own God. They look for strength in their own honor. And here's the 5 woes. It's against destruction. You got a proud heart, there'll probably be some destruction in your life. Second, he says, woe to deception. You got a proud heart, you're going to be deceiving people around you again and again and again. Third, you got a proud heart, there's going to be death. Babylon was murderous. Nebuchadnezzar ran it that way. Fourth, there was drunkenness. And you got a proud heart, there's going to be some kind of an addiction because it's going to be all about you and not about others and not about God. And finally, idolatry. And idolatry is so subtle today. Today it can be a car, it can be a house, it can be jewelry, it can be something somebody else has, it can be chairman of a committee at church, it can be a position in the band, it can be a spot on the organization. It's everywhere. It's everywhere, idolatry. And I just want you to, you can turn there if you want. I'm just going to read quickly in Daniel 4. Now, we're talking about Nebuchadnezzar, right? He's leading the bad boys of Babylon, 5 woes to him. And just listen to what happened in his life. He says in Daniel 4:28, look at everything I did. Look at this kingdom. And Deuteronomy 8 says, don't you ever do that with your proud heart. Because God created you. God gave you the eyes, God gave you the ears, he gave you the talents. Who are you to say to God, look at what I did? And immediately he falls to the ground, he eats grass like an animal, and he starts to come to the end of that time, and he says in verse 34 in Daniel 4, at the end of that time, I, Nebuchadnezzar, raised my eyes toward heaven, and my sanity was restored. And then I praised the Most High. I honored and glorified him who lives forever. His dominion is an eternal dominion. His kingdom endures from generation to generation. And then listen how he concludes. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, the bad boys from Babylon, now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and exalt and glorify the King of heaven because everything he does is right. Everything he does is right. And all his ways, all of them are just. And listen to this, and those who walk in pride, he is able to humble. Nebuchadnezzar, who God's bringing on the scene of events, the bad guy, he repents. I remember I used to sell antique and classic cars at auction. I used to own Cruise International. In 1992, God changed my life. Mine's different, you know. I grew up in the church. I grew up in a relationship with God, and I forgot my roots subtly after 10 years in the marketplace. And we had this auction in a city where a competitor had an auction in that same city, either the week before us or the week after us, once a year. And I felt like they were lying a lot about what they were doing. I felt they lied to get people to consign their cars to the event. I felt like they were lying about the sale total at the end. And so I'm having this conversation with God, and I'm saying, God, I want to tell the truth. I want to do this God owns my business kind of thing. But now what do I do? If they're going to fudge on the numbers, should I? God, you know, I'm not going to do it. Let's just see what happens. All right? But God, I can tell you how this would work better PR-wise. Why don't you take every event that I have and every deal that I do and make it work? And those guys, they need to be gone. Then I could have all that business, and it would just work beautifully, God, and I could give more money to your kingdom. Thank you. Well, I'll never forget, I was in Pebble Beach. Monterey and Pebble Beach and Carmel, one of the most beautiful places on earth. And we had an auction. It was in the evening, two what do you say when they're before and after each other? Two consecutive evenings. And so I got up that morning, and I just wanted to see how beautiful it was. I worked out, and I love fresh squeezed orange juice. And there was this place across the courtyard where you could get fresh squeezed orange juice from the hotel. I thought, you know what? I'm going to go get some fresh squeezed orange juice. Just got done working out. And I go get it, and I'm really happy. I think I had a cinnamon crunch bagel of some kind too, you know. And I'm really happy. And there he is, the guy I prayed about. And my orange juice glass keeps getting higher and higher. But people can recognize this. So God, what am I going to do? I sit down on the bench beside him where he's sitting. And I said, how you doing, man? I'll never forget what he did. He put his hand on his face, and he looked up at the sun, and he said, God is with me again today. See, what had happened is he had been through a bitter divorce. He had struggled with some addictions. And I think through AA, he had given his life to Christ. And it didn't quite look, feel, smell, and taste the way I wanted it to, but that had happened nevertheless. And I felt rather awkward before God. And I changed my prayers, and I'm going to challenge you to do this today. This is a little sidebar on what we're doing. I changed my prayers to make anything can happen, God, if it's good for the kingdom. You can bless everybody. I know you're at work with everybody. You're at work with King Nebuchadnezzar. You're at work with this competitor I thought was bad. You know what? If I can't sell a car that I wish I would have sold, if I miss out on a collection to sell at auction that I thought we should sell, I'm just going to chalk that up as you know what's going on, and you're at work with everybody, and you're building the kingdom. That's the overall good, and that's what I want to be about. And I got to tell you, that's so freeing. Pride goes like this. What's that? And I humble my heart, and I become clay before God, and he molds me, and he shapes me. Well, that guy died soon after that. God was at work. He had a unique disease, and he gave his life to Christ before he died. He died at a very young age. And I saw another thing like that, a really wealthy guy, probably the wealthiest guy I ever dealt with. And he was a former professional hockey player. He got involved in real estate. He was a contractor, and he built one of the biggest hotels in the world, and it was also a casino. And he made a lot of money. He owned the Las Vegas airport, and this guy came to town by the name of Howard Hughes. And he wanted to buy the airport, so the guy sold Howard Hughes at a big price the airport. And Howard Hughes is in his plane one day, and he's looking around the land all around the airport, and he says, who owns this? It's the same guy that sold him the airport. So now he sold him the land around it for a whole bunch of money, and that's where he took the money, and he put it in a casino. And this guy is tough. He is tough. You know, he invented swear words, and he was just a tough guy, you know. And I looked at that, and I sold him a lot of cars, and I got to tell you, I was thankful for that. But I just wondered, God, why this guy? Why billions of dollars to this guy? And you know what? About 36 months ago, he had a window letting him know that his time had come and he was going to die. He had a unique disease. And he spent that last 36 months trying to decide how to give all that money away. And his wife was a believer, And he had a lot of Christian business principles in his life, but it didn't look the way I wanted it to look. He was debt-free always. He helped a lot of people in secret, gave cash to save people, their homes and things like that. And I just made up my mind, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to be about the higher good. I'm not a hero in this story. God has changed me, and he can change you. He can free you from that building your own kingdom here today, even in the church.